We must begin with breaking news out of the U.S. A manhunt is underway in Maine right now. There are reports at least 16 people are dead after multiple shootings in multiple locations.
This decode of the Lewiston shooter is made possible by the generous contributions of TrueLove.com members. If you like this content and would like to show your support, visit TrueLove.com/membership to become a member, where you'll be able to access additional content, interact with other members through the TrueLove.com app. You are free to cancel anytime.
Police have released this image of a man they're calling a person of interest, saying he should be considered armed and dangerous. This is all playing out in the city of Lewiston.
Playing out indicates that this is a play, a tragedy. Maine represents the middle pillar, the spine, or the central vortex of the torus. Some time ago, there was another tragedy in the city of Louisville. Lewis and Louis are the same word. Lewis means famous in war or victory, as in the Victory Project from Don't Worry Darling.
That's Maine's second largest city, just north of Portland. People there are being told to shelter in place.
This happened just north of Portland. Port means door, which is delta or harbor, mountain pass, or the gate. So Lewis or Victory is north of the gate in Maine, or the Middle Pillar Passage.
Katie Simpson is in Washington. So Katie, this is all evolving.
This is all evolving. The journalists emphasize keywords so they stand out to you because they are revealing the hidden message. Evolving refers to the evolution of man into Christ consciousness. It contains the word love backwards.
Yeah, hundreds of police officers are fanning out across the state of Maine as part of this urgent manhunt.
Fanning out across the state. Fanning is to spread out like wings of a bird. Manhunt. They are seeking Adam, the man with the potential to rise. This is a continuation of the story of Waiting for Adam and the Tom Calling story, the two planes coming together.
It's very much a fluid situation.
It's a fluid situation. Fluid is water or the cerebral spinal fluid within the spine.
But from what we understand, there have been at least 2 shootings at 2 different locations in Lewiston, Maine.
There were 2 shootings in 2 locations, and shooting has various meanings, but could be symbolic of the crucifixion that happens in 2 locations, one in the body and one in the head.
That's about a 3.5-hour drive southeast of Sherbrooke, Quebec.
This has been a frightening and heartbreaking day.
Heartbreak or heartbreaking is used often in these types of events. Notice as she says this, she's wearing red, and below her it says breaking news. This world is created from heartbreak.
For people in and around the city of Lewiston, Maine, it has been over 24 hours since 18 people were killed.
18 people killed, 1 in 8 is 9, which represents consciousness. This is to tell you that this is a story about consciousness.
In mass shootings at a bar and a bowling alley there.
The 2 locations were a bar and a bowling alley. The bowling alley is the main location, and it represents the head, or this is the Bible, the world of the double torus and the vortex, the 007.
And another 13 people were injured. Right now, an urgent manhunt is still underway for the suspect, who police say is 40-year-old Robert Card. Law enforcement was at a home connected to Card earlier this evening, and they have been combing the area around Lewiston as thousands of residents continue to shelter in place for their own safety. NBC's Lester Holt has the latest.
Tonight, a mass killer is on the loose, and a large swath of
road closed, as I've shown in several other decodes, signifies that the path to ascension is not open to you if you have not prepared.
Maine is on lockdown.
There is a full court press by all of our partners to bring him into custody.
Businesses and schools up to 50 miles away are closed.
Police advise that Maine people should not approach him under any circumstances.
Officials say the suspect is 40-year-old Robert Card from Bowdoin.
Robert means shining one, and card has multiple meanings, but in this context, I think the most fitting would be the verb, which means to check one's ID. So checking for proof of identity in the man with the potential to rise or shine, Robert, which is why there is a manhunt.
A longtime member of the Army Reserve. A family member says he struggled recently with mental health issues.
These sorts of events always tag on to mental health issues, as if mental health issues are equal and equate to losing one's mind to the point of taking the lives of others. This is ridiculous and untrue. In Robert's case, they claim he was hearing voices. What this means in the context of this story is losing one's mind is meditation, the gap of no mind. But hearing voices suggests he's unable to stop the thoughts in his head, so he has not been meditating.
Law enforcement sources tell NBC News a note was found at Card's home. They are working to determine its meaning.
A note found in Card's home, and the police are working to determine its meaning. Perhaps this means reading the hidden meaning in the media, as I am right now presenting them to you, because being able to read the hidden meanings reveals the one story, and it elevates your perception along Jacob's ladder.
I want to know who, where, when, why. Like, why would he do this? Like, why in Lewiston, Maine?
I'm not sure why they interviewed this random woman who lives outside of town and isn't at all connected to the story. However, she wants to know the truth, the 5 W's, and why it happened in Lewiston, Maine. A clue to tell you that there's a reason that this happened here, so start asking questions yourself.
Today, body bags were removed from just-in-time recreation.
Just-in-time recreation. Just-in-time signifies that the end is close. We are just in time, the nick of time. To be just in time is knowing we are in a realm of time, trapped in time, and recreation, things are about to be created all over again. Also, one of my Discord group members pointed out that at the same time as this tragedy, Britney Spears exposed Justin Timberlake for being a toxic male. Justin Timberlake is Justin Timberlake. If you saw my previous video on the rise of the divine feminine and how it is expelling the toxic masculine or the patriarchy, you will see that this is also connected to just in time. Just is also justice or balance, righteousness. This is a purging of the toxicity in setting things right.
Where the rampage began.
Active shooter incidents, all available units to Lewiston.
Officials say the first 911 call came in at 6:56 p.m.
6:56 is 11:06 or 9:11 upside down. Just like in Back to the Future, this was the time on the clock when Marty returned to the future.
Wednesday night, reporting a shooter at the bowling alley.
Wednesday is Odin's Day or Mercury Oppenheimer. The bowling alley, as I said, is the Double Taurus and the Vortex, the 2-ball cane or 007.
Which was hosting a youth night.
It was probably 15 feet behind me. I mean, he was close. Very close.
People inside hid under tables and behind bowling pins.
I just booked it down the lane, and I slid basically into where the pins are and climbed up in the machine and was on top of the machines for about 10 minutes until the cops got there.
Just 12 minutes later, more calls flooded into 911. The shooter had opened fire again. This time, 4 miles away at Shemengi's Bar and Grill, where police say he killed 8.
784. If you were following the story on the Davenport building collapse, I mentioned in the Titanic Decode there was a bridge that was blown up shortly after the Davenport building collapse, precisely at 784, which I do think is the Trinity, the triangle or flux capacitor, Venus, Mercury, and love, the divine feminine, masculine with love. Opened fire is Oppenheimer. Please see my videos on Maui, Burning Man, and Oppenheimer for more information on this.
Officials say multiple law enforcement agencies were dispatched to the scenes. It's unclear what time they arrived. Among the dead at the bowling alley, Bill Young and his 14-year-old son Aaron, and Trisha Aselin.
Aselin. These names are either coded with messages or coded to mock you because you take it literally. She wears a green shamrock sweatshirt, which is the heart, the green 4-leaf clover of the core of this world, the lucky charm, the divine feminine.
Who worked there and was bowling with her sister when shots rang out. Her mom says she was killed while calling 911. Her sister survived.
The world lost a great girl, and I lost a precious daughter.
Leroy Walker's son, Joey, was a manager at Shemengi's. He says,
"This is an odd spot to conduct an interview, but it's deliberately set up in front of an orange 33 brick wall. Bricks represent Freemasons. The bricks signify the construct, the XX of the fabric of this reality, the illusion of the story. Freemasons are NPCs that are here to put the show on for you. The show that is designed to wake you up to the fact that nothing is real.
The suspect had been there before.
All of the people over there, they know it.
So he would come to Shemingus?
He would actually come to Shemingus. He'd been there off and on.
I'm sure there's a lot of hidden messages in this image, but I'm just going to point out the XXL for the XX of the IXXI, just like the bricks.
Leroy says he waited 14 hours to hear whether Joey was among the dead.
You're all going through a lot of pain right now.
It's awful. That moment when I got the call that said, Joey's dead. It brought me back. It brought me right back to my knees.
His brother died mere hours ago, and he's sitting here talking to the media without a tear. He says he was brought to his knees, which is crippled. This also signifies that a penitent man will pass.
A state trooper told the family Joey died a hero.
Because he picked up a butcher knife and he tried to go at the gunman to stop him from shooting anybody else.
Does that change your pain at all?
Oh.
Knowing that?
It made it worse. Yeah, it made it worse.
Well, all 18 victims of this week's mass shooting in Maine have now been identified, and their families have been given that sad news.
The victims range in age from 14 to 76 years old. The shooting suspect, Robert Card, still has...
Take a close look at these photos. How did the media get photos so quickly? Why are they always such awful casual photos, often poor quality images with generic fuzzy backgrounds?
Not been found, but the shelter-in-place order for the town where the shootings occurred has now been lifted. Fox 4 Sean Rabb joins us in studio. Sean, you have the latest.
Yeah, and though that order has been lifted, the shelter-in-place, there is still a massive and expansive manhunt. After a day of scouring woods by more than 80 FBI agents and police SWAT teams, dive teams using sonar, going down to the bottom of a river not far from where a Subaru station wagon belonging to Robert Card was found Wednesday night.
Because the river is a big piece of this.
Him saying that the river is a big piece of this is a clue. It's a big piece of the puzzle, meaning the cerebrospinal fluid.
The car was located there.
The car was located there. This is the Merkaba. He abandoned the car, the vehicle.
Evidence is located in the vehicle or right there along the shores of the Androscoggin River.
In this clip from Inside Edition, they noted that the car was found at 11:30.
At 11:30 p.m., cops found the suspect's car, a white Subaru SUV, abandoned near a remote boat launch.
11:30 is 33, the top of the spine.
The door open and lights on. The boat launch is on the Androscoggin River, which bisects the state of Maine.
The river cuts Maine in half, as does the spine for the body.
The grief for those who lost loved ones, palpable.
Your whole body, everything goes out of you. Your heart goes flip-flop, and your gut, it feels like there's a vice in you. Your head can't take it, and you just feel like you're going to blow up.
Feel like you're going to blow up. Oppenheimer, the atomic explosion in the head. This means that the pressure is on and people are going to awaken, but some are not going to handle the pressure well and will go mad.
The massacre began just before 7 p.m. on Tuesday night at a local bowling alley called Just in Time, formerly called Spare Time.
The bowling alley was renamed Just in Time Recreation from Spare Time. This point is significant. Spare time is extra time, and the fact that it was changed to just in time means that we are running out of time. We are just in time, in the nick of time. There's no time to spare. To run out of time is like in Back to the Future when Marty literally drives out of the past, out of time, into the future, because this is what happens when you go through the Kundalini awakening and realize that all is now and there is no time. Spare also means sparse or frugal, and just means morally upright or righteous in the eyes of God, fair, true, equitable. Therefore, it's also symbolizing that we are moving from spare time or lack mentality to just time, which is abundance mentality.
Well, we were inside and it's normal night of bowling, and out of nowhere he just came in and there was a loud pop.
The loud pop symbolizes the pop of the pineal gland when you awaken.
Megan Hutchinson and her 10-year-old daughter Zoe were there.
Between the lanes, there's some swinging doors, like where they keep all the mechanical stuff out back. We barricaded in there, and another parent was in the room with me. She had a phone. She called 911.
Zoe's leg grazed by a bullet.
She has the world in her hands, the ball and the pins behind her.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg.
She's 10 years old and says, "I never thought I'd grow up." She's not yet grown up. She gets shot hours before this video was taken, and she's talking like she's explaining what she's wearing for Halloween. Wouldn't any normal 10-year-old be traumatized from being shot at?
And it's just like, why? Like, why do people do this?
She's also very comfortable talking to the camera as a 10-year-old. The only kids I know who are this comfortable are actors.
I was more worried about, like, am I going to live? Am I going to make it out of here? Like, what's going to happen? Are the cops going to come?
Tammy Aselin and her 10-year-old daughter Tony were also at the bowling alley last night when the shooting started.
I started to walk towards that sound.
She's wearing an Under Armour sweatshirt for as above, so below symbolism. Once again, her name is Aselin. The young girl looks nothing like her.
When I heard a second one and started seeing people running, and some people running down the bowling alley, the slippery bowling alley.
The daughter was there with her, but she seems unaffected emotionally, even as her mother starts to cry without tears. Her story is rather vague. I ran toward that sound. What sound? And I heard it again. Heard what again? Ran down the alley. Oops, I mean the slippery bowling alley. She needed to put the word slippery in there because it was significant and it's a code. Slippery as in slippery slope or dangerous to walk on. And the bowling alley is the central vortex of the torus or the middle pillar. She says she saw people running along the slippery bowling alley. This is referring to people trying to rush the Christmas tree once the shooting starts, once the awakening begins. Then things pop off. It's slippery because it's too late. They want a quick fix and they panic.
Unfortunately, some of them didn't make it.
Yeah, this is because they were terrified, just like in Maui when they were consumed by fear. If you're in fear, you will not make it up the Christmas tree or Jacob's ladder.
To me, it was traumatizing because I just saw this dude sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden I see blood fly everywhere, and he fell to the ground, and he wasn't moving.
It didn't feel real.
She says it didn't feel real. How much more direct can she be?
It didn't feel real at all.
Trapped, seconds turned to minutes. Minutes turned into what felt like hours.
Stuck in time.
We were stuck in the corner, basically sitting ducks.
They narrowly escaped, but lost their cousin. The second shooting scene, a pool hall and bar, Shemengi's, is about 4 miles from the bowling alley. People reportedly enjoying a night of cornhole.
Cornhole. The cornhole is the hole in the wall, opened when the Kundalini connection is made, going through the foramen into the fornix. The corn is horn or the pineal.
4 of the men killed in the massacre were deaf, and there is growing speculation that the suspect, Robert Card, targeted them. Card had recently started using hearing aids. His sister-in-law says Card, who suffered mental disorders, believed that he could hear deaf people bashing him at cornhole competitions at Shemengi's restaurant.
Due to Robert's hearing aid, he claimed he could hear deaf people bashing him. As mentioned by another of my Discord members, perhaps this means the masculine is going to have one of their senses amplified so they can hear the truth, as Robert could hear other men's thoughts.
This exclusive video shows Card playing in a cornhole tournament at the restaurant last year.
There you go, Robbie.
One of those killed was 36-year-old Joshua Seal, a sign language interpreter who became a familiar face to TV viewers in Maine during the pandemic.
I think this point is interesting because it shows you who they hired to be on their team. These people always work together.
Also killed were these deaf people.
He's standing before the green monster at Boston's Fenway Park. A baseball diamond is a microcosm of our realm, and the green monster is the green mother in the middle, the green heart, the aurora borealis, the emerald city. He's wearing a B on his sweatshirt for Boston or Barbie. Red Sox refers to the red or lower mind.
Bill Brackett.
His name is Bill Brackett, which is BB, 22. The 22nd letter of the alphabet is V for victory.
Steve Vizella.
Another photo of this man shows him wearing stars. Stars can mean the star of the show, Star Story, Taurus, the tarot play in which we live. He's holding a board for Cornhole and the arrows are pointing at the hole. Every game objective is to get it in the hole, to put the ball in the hole, because this is a clue as to what we must do in order to return home, the hole in the wall.
And 40-year-old Brian McFarland.
This photo of Brian shows him wearing a busy doing nothing shirt, which is meditation. And behind him is the word no and the 5-pointed star for Venus, as well as another poster that says save, because when you know the divine feminine within through meditation, you are saved. Another man who was among the deaf who was killed is this man wearing an Appalachian Mountains shirt featuring a bear. The mountains is the head. Also the vortex, Dante's Peak, the mountain we must climb to exit, or the Christmas tree. The bear is also a teddy bear or Theodore, which is God's door.
Officials also are sharing more details about what led them to where they found his body. Matthew Torres has more.
Tonight, new details on how a massive manhunt for 40-year-old Robert Card came to an end. Maine State Police finding his body inside a box truck at the Maine Recycling Corporation in Lisbon early Friday night.
Lisbon means safe harbor, so it could be the Fornix. They found his body Friday night inside a box truck at a recycling center. Box truck. Box is a cube or a cross. Truck means barter or exchange, to traverse from one place to another. Robert left his vehicle by the water, which is the cerebral spinal fluid, and left his body on the cross, which is losing of the flesh, the 911 as shown in Back to the Future. He was found at the recycling center, meaning he reincarnated and went into the other world, Back to the Future.
Law enforcement had checked and cleared the main property twice before.
The recycling center sign is green for the green heart, and the symbol is IXI, not IXXI. The two X's have merged. It can also be read as the infinity symbol or the Mobius strip.
We cleared trailers that are there on that business footprint. Nobody had any idea that across the street, across Capitol Avenue, there's an overflow parking lot.
Across the street, or Capitol Avenue, Capitol is the head, so the avenue is the spine, the middle pillar. This is why they show this image of the double yellow lines in the street, as they are the twin pillars, and the police car blocking the road just like they did in Maui is the duality police, the red versus blue, preventing you from crossing over.
Public safety officials say the owner was diligent, urging police to search the overflow parking lot, especially since he had worked there before. Police found Card, who appeared to have shot himself inside one of about 60 trailers in the overflow property.
Overflow suggests a flood, and he shot himself, meaning he had a hole in his head, or it's the atomic explosion in the head.
I expected them to find him in the river.
David Druin lives near Robert Card's family. He describes the past few days as crippling.
Cripple means crook or bend. This is also connected to a low opening, a burrow, or a den. A den is an apartment or private chamber or a place of retreat, which is the fornix.
It's unnerving, but today just feels, it's like this big weight off your shoulder.
He says he feels a weight has been lifted, and this is referring to once you come out of the fornix, you've gone through your transformation, you are one with God, you become God-man, and the weight or the burden of being human is lifted. In summary, there are multiple ways to interpret this, but this is my interpretation. The main shooting happened in two locations, symbolizing the crucifixion in two places, the heart and the head, the same locations as in Maui. Opening fire is the same as Oppenheimer, the atomic explosion in the head that happens when the electricity of the Kundalini connection pops the pineal gland in the head. When this happens, it opens a door, portal, the foramen, creating a hole in the wall, the cornhole, which is what allows you to travel in time, because we are now moving from spare time, in which we perceive time as linear, to just in time, where we know everything is now. Life is moving from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. People at the bowling alley ran scared up the slippery alley or tried to rush the Christmas tree because they wanted to get free but were in fear, so some of them didn't make it. The police, or mundane reality enforcement officers, announced a manhunt for the perpetrator, Robert Card. Robert means shining one, and they need to find him or card him or check his ID, because when you become a shining one, you lose the flesh and you become one with God, so you take on a new ID. Robert left his car or Merkaba by the river, and the divers went to the bottom of the river to find him, but he wasn't there. The bottom of the river could be the bottom of the spine where the Kundalini rests. He was at the overflow parking lot on Capitol Avenue, which is in the head. The road was closed. The police were blocking entry, and he left his body in a box or a cross truck at the recycling center, where he reincarnated because he failed to quiet the voices in his head through meditation and let his thoughts control him. When Robert was found dead, residents were relieved and felt a weight was lifted, because when you pass through the hole in the wall and become one with God, you are free of the burden of time and being human.